September 16, 2022, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania awakens to an unsettling reality. Richard Hartley, the 52-year-old real estate mogul whose name adorned half the city's gleaming skyline, had vanished without a trace. The last confirmed sighting was captured by security cameras at the Hartley and Green Development Corporation headquarters. Footage showed him exiting the building, briefcase in hand, walking purposefully toward the parking garage. His Tesla Model S was recorded leaving the premises at 7:51 p.m. After that, Richard Hartley seemed to have evaporated into the cool Pennsylvania night. Detective Sarah Chen of the Pittsburgh Police Department's Missing Persons Unit received the call at 8:17 a.m. the next morning. A 15-year veteran with a reputation for solving the city's most perplexing cases, Chen knew immediately this was no ordinary disappearance. Amanda Hartley, Richard's wife of nearly 20 years, greeted the detective at the door. Despite her composed exterior, her fingers nervously twisted the large diamond ring on her left hand. Thomas Green, Richard's business partner and co-founder of Hartley and Green, arrived just as Chen was finishing her preliminary interview.
I can't believe this is happening. Richard and I have been friends for over 30 years. He wouldn't just leave without a word.
The investigation revealed Richard had been spending increasing time at construction sites, sometimes even sleeping in on-site trailers. Chen's team combed through the Hartley residence. No signs of struggle, no hastily packed bags, no farewell note. Richard's passport was still in his desk drawer, his toothbrush remained in its holder. By nightfall, the case had begun to attract media attention. Local news vans clustered outside the Hartley residence.
We are in the early stages of the investigation. At this point, we have no reason to suspect foul play, but we are exploring all possibilities.
But as Chen drove back to the precinct, her mind was already churning with suspicions. In her experience, when a person of Richard Hartley's stature disappeared, there was usually more to the story than met the eye. As days turned into weeks, interviews with Hartley and Green employees painted a picture of a man who had become increasingly erratic. Richard had been pushing for the company to focus on sustainable, community-oriented developments, a direction that put him at odds with Thomas and the board.
Richard was changing. It was causing a lot of tension.
Chen also uncovered hints of trouble in Richard's personal life.
They tried to keep it quiet, but I heard Mrs. Hartley yelling about divorce one night.
A deep dive into the Hartley's finances revealed Amanda stood to benefit from a $10 million life insurance policy. Thomas Green had swiftly taken control of Hartley and Green, securing several lucrative contracts previously stalled by Richard's sustainable practices. As autumn faded into winter, the case seemed to grow as cold as the weather. The break Chen had been hoping for came from an unexpected source on a chilly November evening.
I saw him, Mr. Hartley. He was arguing with a young man at Primanti Brothers in the Strip District.
The Strip District, Pittsburgh's historic market area, was a far cry from Richard Hartley's usual stomping grounds. The caller described a heated exchange between Richard and an athletic young man in his early 20s, trying not to be noticed in the back corner. The young man seemed upset, almost crying at one point. Mr. Hartley kept saying something about ending it and telling the truth. This new lead sent Chen down a rabbit hole she never expected. Discreet inquiries revealed Richard had been a regular visitor to the area. Hotel records showed Richard had been booking rooms under an alias at a boutique hotel every few weeks for the past 10 months. A barista at Primanti Brothers remembered the young man wearing a University of Pittsburgh football jacket during one of his meetings with Richard. This information led Chen to Jason Hartley, Richard's 21-year-old stepson and a rising star on the Pitt Panthers football team. Jason was Amanda's son from a previous marriage, adopted by Richard when he was just a child. Initial interviews with Jason yielded little information. He claimed to know nothing about his stepfather's disappearance. However, Chen noticed Jason's nervous demeanor and the way he avoided eye contact. He was hiding something. As winter deepened, Amanda Hartley became more vocal. She hired a high-profile attorney and began pushing for Richard to be declared legally dead.
It's been months. I need closure. We need to accept that Richard isn't coming back.
Chen found the timing suspicious. With Richard declared dead, Amanda stood to gain control of his assets and collect on the life insurance policy. As the new year dawned, the mystery of Richard Hartley's disappearance seemed no closer to being solved. But unbeknownst to Detective Chen, events were already in motion that would bring the truth to light, in the most shocking way possible. February 15, 2023. Exactly 5 months after Richard Hartley's disappearance, the case broke wide open. Construction workers at Hartley and Green's latest project site made a grisly discovery as they began excavation for the building's foundation. Their equipment struck something solid where there should have been only earth. Further digging revealed a horror that would shake Pittsburgh to its core. Entombed in concrete was the body of Richard Hartley. The construction site became a flurry of activity as forensics teams descended on the scene. The body was carefully extracted and sent to the medical examiner's office for autopsy. Dr. Lydia Ramirez, the chief medical examiner, worked tirelessly to uncover the secrets Richard's body held. Her findings were shocking. Richard had been stabbed 37 times before being encased in concrete.
The attack was frenzied, emotional. This wasn't a professional hit. Whoever did this was in a state of extreme agitation.
The time of death was estimated within 24 hours of Richard's disappearance, meaning his body had been hidden at the site for months before the foundation was poured. This new evidence narrowed the field of suspects. Whoever killed Richard had intimate knowledge of the construction schedule and access to the site.
Yes, I knew the construction schedule, but so did Richard and half a dozen other people at the company. I didn't kill him. I loved Richard like a brother.
As alibis were checked and rechecked, a surprising fact came to light. Security footage from a nearby building showed a truck entering the construction site late on the night of September 15th, hours after Richard was last seen. The truck matched one registered to Jason Hartley, Richard's 21-year-old stepson, the football star, the polite young man with the sad smile. With this new evidence, Chen brought Jason in for another round of questioning. This time she wasn't letting him off easy.
We know you were at the construction site the night your stepfather disappeared. What happened that night?
Under the weight of evidence and Chen's relentless questioning, Jason's carefully constructed facade began to crumble. In a moment of raw emotion, the truth finally came pouring out.
I didn't mean to kill him. It wasn't supposed to happen like this.
Over the next few hours, Jason revealed the shocking truth. For nearly a year, he and Richard had been engaged in a secret affair. It had started innocently enough. Late-night conversations, a shared interest in architecture, a paternal mentorship that had slowly evolved into something more.
I've always known I was gay, but I was terrified of anyone finding out. My whole future was riding on my football career.
If the team found out, if the scouts found out, he thought it would ruin everything. Richard, trapped in a loveless marriage and struggling with his own sexuality, had found in Jason a kindred spirit. Their clandestine meetings in the Strip District had been a respite from the pressures of their public lives. But as months passed, Richard had grown tired of living a lie. He wanted to leave Amanda, to publicly acknowledge his relationship with Jason. He had changed his will to provide for Jason, planning for a future together.
He said he was going to tell Mom everything. He was going to divorce her and come out publicly. I panicked.
On the night of September 15th, Jason had asked Richard to meet him at the construction site. He had planned to convince Richard to keep their secret, to maintain the status quo, but the conversation had quickly spiraled out of control.
He told me he loved me, that he wanted us to be together openly, but I couldn't do it. I wasn't ready. When he said he was going to tell everyone anyway, I lost control.
In a fit of panic and rage, Jason had grabbed a knife from his truck and attacked Richard. The frenzy of the attack, the 37 stab wounds, spoke to Jason's emotional state in that moment. A toxic mix of fear, anger, and desperation had consumed him.
After it was over, I didn't know what to do. I knew they were pouring the foundation soon.
I thought if I hid him there, no one would ever find out. Using his knowledge of the construction schedule, Jason hid the body where he thought it would never be found. The concrete pour was scheduled for the next day, creating the perfect, if gruesome, hiding place. As Jason's confession unfolded, Chen felt a mix of emotions: relief at finally solving the case, horror at the tragic circumstances, and deep sadness for all involved. Jason Hartley was arrested and charged with second-degree murder. The revelation of Richard Hartley's true fate sent shockwaves through Pittsburgh. The trial was a media sensation, drawing national attention to issues of sexuality, societal pressure, and the sometimes tragic consequences of living in denial. Jason's tearful testimony about his struggle with his sexuality and the fear of losing his future in football sparked important conversations. In a plea deal, he was sentenced to 20 years in prison. Amanda Hartley, though cleared of any involvement in Richard's death, faced her own legal troubles. Investigations into Hartley and Green's finances revealed she had been embezzling company funds for years to support her lavish lifestyle. Designer clothes, luxury vacations, expensive jewelry, all paid for with stolen money. She was sentenced to 5 years for financial crimes. Thomas Green, while not involved in Richard's death, was forced to step down from the company amid the scandal. The revelation of Richard's secret life and tragic death led to a public re-evaluation of Hartley and Green's business practices. In the wake of the tragedy, Hartley and Green underwent major restructuring. The board of directors, seeking to honor Richard's last wishes, shifted the company's focus towards sustainable and community-oriented development projects. The buildings Richard had dreamed of, environmentally conscious, community-focused, finally began to rise from Pittsburgh's soil. The Richard Hartley Foundation was established to support LGBTQ+ youth and promote acceptance in sports. Detective Sarah Chen, whose tireless work had finally cracked the case, received a commendation from the Pittsburgh Police Department. She would later say that the Hartley case was the most complex and heartbreaking of her career.
This case taught me that things are rarely what they seem on the surface, Chen reflected. Behind every facade there can be a world of pain and secrets.
Our job isn't just to solve crimes but to uncover the truth, no matter how difficult it might be. The Hartley case had a profound impact on Pittsburgh. LGBTQ+ advocacy groups in the city reported an increase in people seeking support and resources. The University of Pittsburgh established a scholarship in Jason's name for LGBTQ+ student athletes, aiming to create a more inclusive environment in college sports. The conversations sparked by Jason's testimony began to break down barriers and reduce the stigma faced by LGBTQ+ athletes. The construction site where Richard's body was found became a subject of controversy. After much debate, it was decided the planned tower would be completed, but with a significant change. The ground floor was redesigned to house a community center dedicated to LGBTQ+ youth, a lasting reminder of the tragedy and a beacon of hope for the future. The center would provide counseling, support groups, and safe spaces for young people struggling with their identity. Richard Hartley's legacy in Pittsburgh was forever altered. The man once known as a business titan and philanthropist was now remembered as a complex figure, a victim of societal pressures and his own hidden truths, but also someone who, in his final days, had been trying to live more authentically. The story became a cautionary tale about the dangers of living in denial, the weight of secrets, and the importance of acceptance. It showed how fear and shame could destroy lives, but also how truth and acceptance could heal communities. Jason Hartley, now serving his sentence, had become an advocate for LGBTQ+ rights within the prison system. He wrote letters to young athletes struggling with their identity, urging them to seek help rather than suffer in silence. The Hartley mansion stood empty, a monument to the price of living a lie. Amanda, serving her sentence for embezzlement, had lost everything: her husband, her stepson, her fortune, her freedom. Thomas Green, once a powerful developer, now worked for a small architectural firm, his reputation forever tainted by the scandal. 3 lives, Richard, Jason, and Amanda, had converged like Pittsburgh's 3 rivers, but instead of creating something beautiful, they had created tragedy. But from that tragedy came hope. The community center thrived, helping hundreds of young people find acceptance and support. Support groups met weekly, providing safe spaces for LGBTQ+ youth to share their struggles and find community. The scholarship program had helped dozens of LGBTQ+ student athletes pursue their dreams without fear. Detective Chen often spoke to youth groups, sharing the lessons learned from the Hartley case.
Secrets have weight, she would tell them. The longer you carry them, the heavier they become. Don't let fear destroy your life or the lives of those you love.
Pittsburgh had learned from its tragedy. The city of steel had shown it also had a heart. And in the end, truth had prevailed, as it always does. The trial that captivated Pittsburgh had reached its conclusion. The courtroom was packed with spectators, media representatives, and community members who had followed every twist of the case.
Jason's final statement to the court was a tearful apology to Richard's memory, to his mother, and to the LGBTQ+ community.
"I hope my story can prevent other young people from making the same terrible choice," he said through tears. Jason was immediately taken into custody to begin serving his 20-year sentence.
The case had drawn national media attention, sparking debates about LGBTQ+ rights, mental health, and the pressures faced by young athletes.
Social media buzzed with reactions, some sympathetic to Jason's struggle, others focused on the tragedy of Richard's death.
Experts weighed in on the psychological factors that led to the tragedy, emphasizing the need for better support systems for LGBTQ+ youth.
The case became a rallying point for LGBTQ+ advocacy groups, who organized peaceful demonstrations calling for greater acceptance and support. Even some religious leaders used the tragedy as an opportunity to preach acceptance and love over judgment and fear. The case prompted the NCAA to review its policies regarding LGBTQ+ student athletes, implementing new support programs and anti-discrimination measures. Universities across the country expanded their counseling services, specifically targeting the unique challenges faced by LGBTQ+ students in competitive sports. Professional sports leagues, including the NFL, launched new initiatives to create more inclusive environments for LGBTQ+ athletes. Youth sports programs began implementing training for coaches and administrators on creating supportive environments for all athletes. The Pennsylvania legislature held hearings on strengthening anti-bullying and anti-discrimination laws in schools and sports programs. In prison, Amanda Hartley began attending therapy sessions, finally confronting the greed and denial that had destroyed her family. She wrote letters of apology to the employees she had stolen from and to Richard's memory, though she knew words could never undo the damage. Thomas Green, living in a modest apartment and working for a small firm, had embraced the sustainable development principles Richard had championed. He volunteered at the Richard Hartley Community Center, trying to honor his former partner's memory through service. Jason used his time in prison to earn a college degree in social work, preparing for a life dedicated to helping others. 1 year after opening, the Richard Hartley Community Center had become a beacon of hope in Pittsburgh. Hundreds of young people had found support, acceptance, and the courage to live authentically. Support groups met daily, providing safe spaces for LGBTQ+ youth to share their struggles and celebrate their victories. Educational programs taught young people how to navigate the challenges of coming out and building healthy relationships. Family counseling sessions helped parents and siblings learn to accept and support their LGBTQ+ family members. A documentary film about the case premiered at the Sundance Film Festival, bringing the story to a national audience. Detective Chen published a book about the investigation, with proceeds going to LGBTQ+ youth organizations.
She traveled the country speaking to law enforcement agencies about handling cases involving LGBTQ+ individuals with sensitivity and understanding.
The case became the subject of academic study, with researchers examining the intersection of sexuality, sports culture, and criminal behavior. The story resonated internationally, sparking conversations about LGBTQ+ rights in sports cultures around the world. The first recipients of the scholarship program established in Jason's name were graduating from college, pursuing careers in social work, counseling, and advocacy. Many young people who had been helped by the community center were now working as advocates, counselors, and mentors for the next generation. Schools and sports programs across Pennsylvania had implemented new policies protecting LGBTQ+ students and athletes from discrimination and bullying. The culture of professional and college sports was slowly changing, with more athletes feeling safe to live openly and authentically. Most importantly, suicide rates among LGBTQ+ youth in Pennsylvania had decreased, suggesting that the increased support and acceptance were saving lives. 5 years after the case closed, Detective Chen still visited Richard Hartley's grave on the anniversary of his death. The memorial plaque read, "Richard Hartley, visionary father, advocate for truth. His death was a tragedy, but his legacy lives on in every life saved by acceptance and love."
Jason, eligible for parole after serving 15 years, had become a model prisoner and advocate for LGBTQ+ rights within the correctional system.
The Richard Hartley Community Center continued to thrive, a testament to the power of turning tragedy into hope. Pittsburgh had learned from its darkest moment. The City of Steel had shown that even from the deepest tragedy, hope could rise. And in the end, the truth had set them all free.